I'd like to call to order the Meriwether County Board of Commissioners work session, November 17th, 2025 at 5:30 p.m. Please silence your cell phones and other electronic devices. Please stand for the invocation followed by the pledge of allegiance. Dear Lord, thank you for letting us come together tonight to do the work of Meriwether County. Lead us, guide us, direct us in the work that we do, and we might do the best to suit for the constituents of the county. In Christ's name we ask, amen.
Amen.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, next on the list is adopt the agenda and any changes to the agenda.
No, sir.
So move. Second. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? New business, discussion of courthouse repair proposal.
Commissioners, I think Chris with EMC is here with his team, and I'll let him take it from there to go with the proposal at the courthouse.
Hey, good evening, Chris Browser with EMC Engineering Services. Thank y'all for calling this work session for us to go through the courthouse. A lot's been going on behind the scenes, and we want to update y'all with our progress. And then we have, as Mr. Gordon said, the entire team here to discuss number one, the project and scope. I have the architect with 2WR here. We've got plans and specs that we'll leave with y'all, but I know several of y'all have already seen it. I know John's been involved with basically going through the scope of work. We'll here to answer any questions about that. And then also we have the construction manager with us who's been through the bid documents. We've had several meetings with him and his team of subcontractors to discuss the scope of work. And we've got some budget items we want to present to y'all and then have a discussion on where the next step is to get us into construction. So with that being said, Alex, you want to kind of talk about where we're on the project as far as plan and specs, and then we'll turn it over to River City to talk about any type of pricing. I know we've delivered a few documents. I believe, John, have you set those up?
Yes, I got all three proposals, all three phases.
And we've got to keep, once we get to the construction manager side, we've got some more information that we'll hand out.
And here are the documents that my firm has prepared. We'll leave here for you guys for your perusal. This is what the construction manager based his pricing on.
Can I just get your name, your full name?
For it, GRIGGS.
Thank you.
I'm terrible at introducing.
That's okay.
That's all right. Sorry. So these are the drawings, which cover the scope of the work, the roof, the exterior improvements, and the third floor improvements. It does not cover the HVAC at this time. I do have information on that. Excuse me, and these are what we call specifications. Is the project manual. It covers all of the materials, installation warranties, such as that. So there's a complete set here of the work as best we can tell it at this time. Of course, it's renovation, and we expect we have allowances in there for some unknown things that we see in the pricing. River City contracting went through a process and won the construction manager. They will be managing all of the subcontractors on the job. They're charging a small fee for that, what a general contractor would normally have. If there's any questions on that whole process of construction management, I can field those. This is what we recommend and how we do 98% of our renovation work now is working with the construction manager. You select a contractor that you feel comfortable with, who's got a good background in doing the work, who's got experience in doing this type of work, and you've worked with before. We've worked on multiple projects before and been very successful on doing it. What we don't recommend you do is a hard bid situation when you put it out for everybody to bid as a general contractor. That's a hard bid job. you can't guarantee who you get or if they'll be here in 6 months. But what the construction manager does, he will bid out portions of the work, all the portions of the work to his subcontractors. And especially on this type work, we have some specialty contractors on the exterior, the plaster work, the stone work, fixing the stone. He's bid that out to multiple contractors as well, and they can go through some of that. But that is why on renovations, we love construction management because you can be assured of the quality of the work that's being done. They're not going to overlook something just to make money on a change order. What they end up doing is providing us with the GMP, a guaranteed maximum price for the project. That's what you're going to pay. You know it up front, and unless you increase the scope of work, say we move down to the second floor or the first floor, more HVAC or something like that, then that's the price of it. It is open book and it will have some allowances in there. And their records are open to the county for audit, for review at any time. We look at them. If they put in allowances for asbestos, and they put, say, 50,000 in there, and we might find a little bit back in the closet and some of the piping, and it costs 5,000, you get the 45,000 back on that job. So it's a lot of trust, but then it's also, we review their books to verify. Trust but verify. This project is unique. We were the firm that did the assessment of the building early on in the year. We missed a few things on the roof. That was my fault. We did not include some items that you'll see in their pricing here. The lighting system up there, the lightning protection system that's on the roof, we didn't estimate those. We didn't expect the scaffolding to be as extensive as it's going to be. That's where they'll do a framework over the whole building in order to safely get contractors up there at the dome to do some repair and recoating on it. Are there any questions that I can field right now? Have they seen prices?
They have.
Yes.
Y'all done some projects like this before, right?
Yes, sir.
As a team.
Yes, sir.
I'm not doubting your word, but it'd be nice to see if everything's open, everything's open book, see on some of your previous projects where this was estimated, but it came in way lower, you know.
And they return money?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
These guys are doing other CM work for us. They did the renovation of the Harris County courthouse. As the architect on it as well.
Yeah.
I don't know if Clark over there would mind sharing his prices on it, but right now we're on the budget by.
Well, the first phase on that one probably came in $30,000-$40,000 under budget for contingencies and all that. And the second phase is probably more than that. It's probably closer to $100,000 under budget.
Right. And then as you start realizing there's under budget, you say, maybe we'll expand the scope and start doing the whole parking lot. And that's kind of where we are now in the final phases of this. In Harris County, similar project, we renovated the entire building. There's a historic building, then an annex that was built in 98 next to it. I think it's
98.
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
In 08. Did the roof first, and it was a horrible roof. They re-roofed the entire building, including the historic building and the annex. That was phase one. We came back in and modified the mechanical systems, put in whole new chiller, whole new mechanical system throughout the building, fan coil units everywhere. That was phase two, and some electrical upgrades. phase 3, I guess is where we are now. The interior renovations where we actually moved apartments around, took out walls, moved tags to the ground floor so people could get to it, plus the sheriff's office. We renovated that and moving probate upstairs, so things are easier to find for 95% of people come to the courthouse. And we are wrapping up shortly, probably by the end of the year, that work. We'll move into another phase, which is as another little entrance to the building for more security and a better sally port for the courtrooms. But those we had several allowances in there for unknown things. Wood rot, we used a little bit of it. It moved to another thing. We thought we might have some structural foundation repair. Allowed, I think, $50,000 for that. We got a price for doing 8 geo piers. Didn't need it at the end, so that money went on the side. We ended up using that money for other things. So it is open book. I can share with you. I'd like to get permission from the county over there if I could share their numbers with you, but that's how it works. It all works out in the end, and you end up doing a change order, which gives money back to the county. I'm not saying that happens on every single job. It happens more often than not on construction management jobs.
Well, like you said, it takes a lot of trust. And people who really care about their integrity of work and future work and getting reference are the kinds that usually become trustworthy, but it's also a lot of folks out there when they see what the allowance is, they might have been way down here, but they go, well, we're not going to go that high. But we got room to go high because they done. I go give the estimates and the homeowner go, well, the last guy, he was 17,000. I go, don't tell me that.
Yeah.
And I still came in way lower, but don't tell the person what it is,
Sure.
But,
Sure.
we may have already discussed this and all this other previous stuff getting to this point. Well, what's the warranty that this roof will have?
So that's what we're talking about.
The courthouse has been leaking.
Yes, sir.
Well, it was leaking before we came on board 3 years.
All of us, that's right.
I think they've been talking about a leak for 5 years at least, it seems like. But what kind of warranty when we get through this roof that we're not going to have a problem like the jail and stuff? We can't get the person that did the roof and so forth. Is it going to be bonded or how are we protected on that?
Yeah, so Commissioner King, when we start presenting the pricing, we'll give you some options where the different years of roof, and that's what we want. That's why this interactive discussion tonight is
Right.
because each step of warranty comes with a different price, and we've got different scenarios. But like Alex was saying, we're at that point where we have sat down with the construction manager. We went through the scope of work to reconcile the documents, and we presented the phasing the way that we heard from y'all when we did the assessment. I think after we've had a chance to dig into the project some, I think cost is going to be a factor that we need to discuss, and then there may be some rationale to change some of the sequencing to give you a better product on the end. So if y'all don't mind, I'd like to grab River City, let them come up. They've got some more documents to share, and then we can really have the interaction discussion of where we are in the phasing, pricing, and where we can get to that GMP, or at least have a good idea of where we are on the construction cost standpoint. And then like Alex said, once these guys, and we give them the opportunity to reconcile their number, that's the number, and then we talk about the allowances, that's a checkbook. So you see, $100,000 and we have to give them, or they come to us and hey, we need to change this, and we have hard numbers, and we take that out of the checking account. So that transparency is there, and that's one of the reasons we like this delivery method. Of course, nothing as complicated as this project, because we do know the severity of getting the right contractor on board. As you said, we've been dealing with this for 5, 6, 8 years, who knows? And low bid win sometimes is a race to the bottom. So having qualified, we had a great group of, as John will tell you, sitting on the interview process, we had a great group of construction managers that submitted on this. We had a very transparent and open process, and we're confident that River City is going to deliver the county the end product that we all desperately desire. That's a dry roof for a warranty, and everything on the outside working the way it needs to. And that's what citizens of Meriwether County deserves.
Well, I got, Chris, before you get out, I got one question, I've been talking with you and mainly you since it started, and my main concern was, who's gonna get the bid on this job? You're telling me anybody that wanted to could bid on it. But is that the case?
So with this construction manager process, they're qualifying and bringing in bids for qualified subcontractors. So we're going to present a list tonight who they've been talking with on phase one, which is the roof and exterior. And then there's opportunities to look at other contractors or subcontractors, if you will, for different phases. We want to make sure that, at the end of the day, that we're picking the most qualified, best value, and all that number will be presented for us to review. So, Barry, you want to come up?
This is just one.
Yeah, right.
One, I just want to reiterate, it's not a guaranteed price, it's a guaranteed maximum price. You won't pay any more than this. Often it's going to come in lower, can't guarantee that, but I can guarantee it won't go over guaranteed maximum price. Patrick Spence and Travis.
Yeah.
Okay, with River City Construction, we'll let them start something private.
Thank you. That's the same thing. Just put it.
You got it. All right, guys, I'm Patrick Spence, River City Contracting. Again, that's Travis Evans. Alex kind of touched on everything as far as the CM approach is concerned right now. We'll be glad to answer any questions from our perspective in that regard on how the CM's handled and the solicitation process. We looked at this thing in three phases right now. Obviously, the roof and the exterior is the most critical points of the project right now, and getting everything dried in. In our understanding, getting that process going is urgent. So what we did in regards to those scopes is we interviewed a list of subs to, the roofing sub and the exterior restoration sub to understand, one, who's qualified, who can do it. It's a complex job. Someone was, I think you were mentioning warranty and stuff like that. And when we think it's qualified sub, a lot of people are qualified to do the job at that time, but what's the track record of these guys? How long have they been around? When we call them in 5, 6, 7, 8 years with an issue, are they going to be back to fix the problem?
Well, that's where also whoever the general contractor or manager that you were talking about has to be on top and watch what they're doing too,
Right.
not just rely on them going, well, they said they can do it.
Without that.
That man's qualified to be watching every move.
That's
The
right.
question, why isn't this done? Why didn't that get done? Because,
Yeah.
I know what you're saying, but it's just,
Yeah. And
we got to spend all this money that 8 months now before, oh my God, we got a leak again.
No, I understand. And it's our responsibility at that point where if we do have a leak, we got to address it timely. We got to get that subcontractor back up here. And if they're not willing to come back up here, it's on us.
Right.
We're the construction manager. We've been in business for 30 years now. I don't see that happening. The subs that we're talking to have a long track record of doing successful work. We've worked with these guys for quite a bit. The roofing sub especially. So it's our responsibility to manage that process and make sure you guys are satisfied in the end. Whether that's through warranty. I joke all the time. I feel like we have a lifetime warranty on a lot of stuff just because that's the contractor we are. If there's an issue, I don't want the reputation of just walking away from an issue. That's not me. That's not our company. We'll be back to take care of it. So again, from the phasing aspect of this job, like I said, we looked at it several different ways. We got some that I feel like we've got good hard numbers on at this point that we could go into a contract on to get those guys started. That's the exterior roof and the exterior restoration because of the urgency of it. The other phases of this, the mechanical and the interior renovations, we do have some time on that, but there's also cost implications that we need to discuss in regards to that because right now we've got a monthly general conditions, which is how we proposed on the job. If we can start stacking some of that work on top of each other, that's the savings back to the county long term because we're managing both those scopes all at one time. So Travis has been neck deep in the estimating side of this and working with these subs. So I'm gonna kind of let him go through the estimates to whatever detail you guys want to, and then we'll open it up to questions and y'all can ask away.
If you don't mind, Patrick, explain the phasing and the reason why we got the phase as we presented, because that's a little different than
Right.
the mission we were given originally.
Yep, so when we first found out about this job, we introduced this job, we looked at it as two phases. We were the exterior portion of it and the interior renovation of the third floor. One critical part that was missing was the HVAC side of it. Like Alex said, we're nearing completion of a 3-phase project at Harris County. When you go upstairs on the third floor right now, y'all's courthouse, obviously it's just humidity issues, it's warm, it's uncontrolled. If we're gonna go through and do the substantial amount of finishes up there that gives you guys a quality product and an attractive product, we kind of inserted phase 2 into this as a HVAC replacement. I think it makes sense to get to a point where we got controlled conditions up there, we got controlled air, we got controlled humidity. Like one of these guys said, I don't think that design has been done yet. So we've worked with a subcontractor who's familiar with the space. He's been up there for some time now and looked at different options, and we ran some budget numbers with him on the HVAC side of it. Ultimately, once engineers are involved, they may have their spin on it. But again, to elaborate on the CM side, when we look at CM, it's a team. You got the architects and the engineers, you got us as the contractor, and you got subcontractors. We all kind of come together to work together and come up with a plan on how to get things done from a time and a quality and a cost standpoint. So at the point that engineer came on board to do the HVAC, we would bring that subcontractor involved in-house to let him tell us how he came up with that budget. That way they're drawing what he came up or how he came up with the budget instead of them going this way and him going that way. That's when we have problems. So that's the phasing aspect of it now. Right now, again, that was not mentioned as we proposed on the job, but I do feel like it's the best fit for the overall job if that HVAC aspect of it is put in place.
All right, thanks. Once again, my name's Travis Evans. And so in your package, you've got the first 3 pages of the phases that Patrick's discussed. So the way we see it is phase 1. You can see here the contingency that we're carrying is $150,000. And what that means is this is construction contingency that covers any unforeseen items. A lot of times in a restoration or renovation type project, having a construction contingency is a very good idea so that we don't have to keep coming back for you for more money if we find a problem. But what we will do is we'll tell you there's a problem. We'll get pricing for that and then present it to you. And then it's your approval is when the work gets done. And then we'll give you a log that shows that we've used X amount of money from this contingency, and we'll continue to track that during the project. At the end of the project, whatever money's left over there goes back to you. 10% is just kind of a general contingency rule that we use, especially for these type of projects. So that money could come out, we could stay in, but 10% is what we recommend here.
Contingencies and allowances are handled very similar. So like they explained the allowance side of things, that's the same thing with contingency.
Yep. Okay, and as Alex said, we had a site visit here with all of our potential new team, and we were looking at ways to access the building, and we came up with scaffolding. It's going to be the easiest, quickest, safest way to get access to that building. We don't want a bunch of, first of all, getting lifts into the building around the perimeter is going to be tough because it's very limited right there. You're on retaining walls just about all the way around, and in the back, it's really tight where the sidewalk meets the street level. So, and then I don't think you want a lot of lifts working around public as they come into the building. So we did reach out to several scaffolding companies. I got numbers from PCI and Sunbelt Rental. PCI and our masonry restoration company work together a lot. And so in our packet, we won't go through every page, but I did give you in the back some scaffolding sheets that they gave us that show what the building will look like scaffold. We'll start scaffolding at the cupola and then work our way down to the roof. And then we'll scaffold 2 elevations at a time, probably the north and the west, and then the south and the east.
but we'll always have protection, overhead protection from your public at every entrance around the building. So the scaffolding came in at $414,152. That includes the engineering, all the labor to set it up, the delivery, taxes, and everything. That's everything.
And I'll mention about blue gasket when I heard that number. I would never have guessed scaffolding.
But like I said, I got two
Neither
numbers.
would we.
They're right.
And you got two numbers in there, how far?
Couple $100.
From two different scaffolding companies on the same.
And I think we need to preface that that's for a 6-month duration, right?
That's right.
So,
That's correct.
so one thing that we talked about as a team, time, expediting time and getting things done faster will go, make that number potentially go down because it is a rental for the, the 6 months that we're talking about right now in the vacuum. So if we can do it in 5 months or 4 months, there should be some savings that comes out off the rest.
And that's why that number is presented as allowance right now. If we're able to get it done and get it 4 months and gone.
And if y'all don't get it done in 6 months, y'all gonna cover the difference.
I'm hoping we're done in 6 months.
We want to know why you're not
We
getting
need
it
to get
done.
Mother Nature on our side too.
He said that was max.
Hmm?
He said that was the maximum.
But that's not, that is an allowance, so that's something that
For 6 months.
will come off of that. So, the other items would be a little more on that harder side, if you will. So I just want
We do have two more allowances here. $2,500 for miscellaneous trim repair, and then also $5,000 for the fabrication and erection of a new roof ladder. The roof ladder is in 2 different planes to get to the cupola. It's not really safe right now, and we do have an allowance in there to put 1 new ladder in there. Okay, so as Chris just said, some of these other numbers are more are harder numbers. So we reached out to several masons and found this company called United Restoration Preservation. Met with them on site. This is what they do. They restore historic properties. And so if you'll flip back, like I said, the first 3 pages are estimates, and then the next 5 pages or so are what we call clarifications and assumptions. That's where we specifically point out what's in the job and what we don't have in our price. So if you'll flip back to, I just want to show you real quick, this page right here. Just wanted to show you because they pointed out and they've given allowances for this, for some of these things. And so you'll see on this page, there's areas called for heavy efflorescence. That's the white area on the brick. And then you've got coin repair, which is the damaged stacked stone in the corners. And then repairs to the terracotta band right here. And I'm showing you this, and I'll show you in just a second. And then tuck pointing required right here. So, like I said, I met them on site and they gave me for each elevation a sheet that looks like this that shows the exact scope of work for what they propose to do there. They've also given me their takeoff page for each elevation that shows the amount of tuck pointing that they're estimating for the north elevation here. Well, this is the south actually. And then terracotta band repair. The tuck pointed is in red. The terracotta. Yeah, the tuck pointed is just getting the mortar joints back, making sure they match and blend, and that you don't have these voids. So that's what I was.
And that's weatherproofing, definitely a big deal to there. Over time, some of that grout, for whatever reason, has come out, or that maybe had some issues with other rain events or other weather conditions. So restoring that outside facade is going to be very important to maintain the integrity of the building as well.
Right.
And so, if I may, just so you know what you're getting, and they're not. These are the joints in between all the bricks. And you'll look around the building, you'll see where they're missing or appear to be missing all the way around. That's allowing moisture to get into the cavity of the wall, or if there is no cavity, into the wall and damage the brick or the block or the stonework or the plaster. It needs repair in a historic building. We're not doing every single one of them all the way around the building, only the ones that are missing And that's what's identified on their diagrams or areas where those are missing. And they've done a takeoff on the area of that. So if you come out just managing expectations one day and you go, oh, they didn't replace all of it. It doesn't look like a brand new building. It's not going to. The historic preservation guidelines say you don't do all of that. What we've got is a pretty good spec, and these guys understand it. We've met with them on the type of mortar that goes back in for the historic building. So they're only doing the missing pieces of grout that's in between, or mortar that's in between the brick.
So in this process, are they checking for loose areas that may need to be replaced? It looks like it's okay. Because if not, if that falls out 2 months later, then we have the same issue that we currently have.
Yes, and they'll do kind of a soft wash process too.
Right.
So if something's loose,
It'll fall out.
it's gonna come in.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, and they really already have. I mean, these guys have been great. Obviously, you can see the documentation they've done. They've come through and inspected the entire building. Now, like you said, are there areas that may look good now that may get blown out later? Possibly, but hopefully at the soft wash time, they identify those.
Now, will this include, like you said, they'll replace what's missing? And things are different now than it was when it was built.
Sure.
Mortars and so forth, I deal with it. They have this planned in there to do some kind of sealant on everything after the mortar's fixed?
No. And that's
Because a lot of the older mortar, depending on the age of it and so forth, even though it doesn't look loose, a lot of it's like a wick.
right.
Water goes to it and you see it just suck it right in there.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why we're not focusing at least getting a cost of, after all that's fixed, that there's a sealer put on all of it.
Yeah, I mean,
Where
and
water's got it.
before where you put sealer on brick mortar, basically encapsulate the whole building. It can be done.
I know.
No.
Well, it says here they apply a clear silicone water repellent sealant on all horizontal surfaces.
Okay.
We'll need to verify that. I don't think that's part of the specs, but because a lot of times, again, with the historic preservation side of things, you can't do some of that. So we need to verify that.
Says URP has factored the use of something sure, clean, weather seal.
I think that's part of their soft wash process.
Yeah. Now, yeah, some of that, is it on the brick or the mortar? Because there'll be some on the clay. The point that the other concrete looking pieces, the stonework that will require that. But the historic guidelines don't recommend sealing existing brick.
This is factor the use of Prosecco Sure Clean Weather Seal.
Yeah, and a lot of that's part of the soft wash
That is their
process,
soft wash.
but we can confirm that.
So like I said, they have identified areas where they think they need to do the tuck pointing. And I don't guess I explained this earlier well, but these are just examples of each one of these issues that they've identified. The red being the tuck pointing, the blue being the terracotta band repair, and the orange circles are the coin repairs. And then the yellow areas are where they're gonna have to do a little bit heavier cleaning due to the heavy efflorescence in those areas. For each elevation, especially for tuck pointing, they've given us a square foot allowance of $40 a square foot. So just for the north, for example, they've said they've identified 150 square feet. If they don't end up tuck pointing 150 square feet, that's another savings on the north. And they've done that for each elevation. So they were very thorough in their investigation. So I gave you that for every elevation. And then also, just to reiterate, well, they also have identified, underneath each of your porches, you got stucco that needs to be repaired on Washington, if they need that. But I've given you some examples of some sample projects that they've worked on. The Lawrence County Courthouse in Lawrence, South Carolina. Lucas Administration Building in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. The Andrew Carnegie Building in Atlanta. And then also the Garden Theater in Charleston, South Carolina. As you see, that's what they do is work on historic projects all over the southeast and the country. And they're very well qualified to do this work and are experts. So one of the first things they want to do when they get out here, though, while the scaffolding is even being erected, is come out and do mock-ups for each one of these to set your expectation early on as to what everything's going to look like. So what I was told is it would take about 2 weeks to get out here to do it. If we were released tonight, it'd take them 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, they'd come out and do their mock-ups, let them settle for about 3 weeks in age, and then get you to come back and review them. That includes the point up, the coins, the soft wash. You got paint on the building, and that soft wash is going to take care of those flakes. But we want to set that expectation early on as to what you're buying, and they are going to do that up front. So that's the masonry restoration. The roofing is the next number. That's $530,000. That includes putting the Andec copper products on your metal roof to seal it, and we can. It actually uses copper flakes. And then also, that does have a clear seal on it. You get 2 coats of the Andec and 2 coats of the clear seal with this number here. Painting is repainting all of the coins, the terracotta, all of those areas of the terracotta band that is identified on the drawings. Also the bell tower, the cupola, and the statue up above. Exterior lighting, we're going to take down all of your old lighting on the roof and replace it with LED fixtures. And so this only includes the exterior lighting right here in this phase. And then also, you've got some existing lighting protection up on the roof. We're going to take that down, not any of your grounding lizards or anything else, just the aerials on the roof, and so that we can do the roof repair and then put it all back. And so you can see, we, like Patrick said, we proposed general conditions of about $19,092 for about 6 months is how much this phase would be. And we proposed a fee of 5.75%. So that's basically how we see phase 1.
Any questions on that first phase?
What's the warranty on the roof?
On the Andec, the material only is 10 years. You got a workmanship warranty of 1 year. We're also exploring other ways to skin that roof. We're working with Alex and the team. We've come up with a couple of other options that will give you a longer warranty. But until we work that out with pricing and get everything worked out, but we will come back with some other options for that roof. I think we got 2 other options for the roof that will give you a longer warranty, perhaps 20 or 30 years.
Am I overlooking, excuse me, I'm sorry. From what I understand, up there on the roof, I know we had gutters down the side or downspouts, but there's a gutter system on the very top. And I don't see anything in here about restoring or repairing or making sure all that gutter system, because that's causing water problems too, with not getting the water out of there.
One of the main problems.
And I don't see nothing in here allowing for gutters repaired.
I was talking to Sidney Foster, who I think did some gutter repair for you guys a couple of years ago, and he told me that he reskinned all of those interior gutters from the roof down. I think you guys paid him about $100,000 maybe 3 years ago to do that work. Now on the back low roof, where you've got your TPO roof between the annex and the main building, we do have a new gutter system with leaders and downspouts going in back there.
I think everything up top is
Correct.
just
I
blasted through.
thought when you went up there, remember when you went up on the roof, you was saying something, there's some kind of gutter system, like with this water, this roof runs to this roof and this roof. And
Well, it runs off the porches into catch basins, and they got it showing right here on, all the different that's catch basins.
Yeah.
It's got a catch basin on either side of the copper
So
roof.
it's got like a built-in trough system right there to handle the water. So yeah, all that'll get new TPO roof run through it, and so it'll be welded seams and all that on this.
so so that's not necessarily specified, that's just part of the roof itself. Okay.
And that's from the drawings and everything else. That's what y'all don't have the benefit of going through all the drawings, but what's on the drawings and in the specs is included in this process. So,
Understand.
Yeah, all that's part of the roof system.
And I think that's important, in that roof number that he's talking about, it is getting the flat roof on the record side and there, that other building as well. So
Okay.
when we talk about roof, we're getting the main courthouse as well as everything else around the place. So,
Now it's everything except for the little pitched roof over the annex building. To my knowledge, it's not leaking. We have a price to replace it, but we can replace it, but it will cost more. It is not included in this.
Right.
These numbers.
Right.
The
All right.
flat roof that is leaking, that's included. That's first we say we'll put on a whole lot for it to fix those things.
Any more questions? If not, we'll talk about phase two. And like Patrick said, we've kind of inserted phase two here. Phase one being the exterior, phase two, the interior renovation. If we're gonna do the third floor, we highly recommend making any HVAC changes you wanna make now too, because we're gonna have the ceiling down. We're putting a new ACT ceiling in, acoustical ceiling tile ceiling in, and now's the time. So John put us in contact with Matt Daniel, who is with M&D Mechanical, and I think he's been very familiar with the building. We had him up here, and this is his number to give us a new HVAC system. But like Patrick said, we would get this scrutinized by an engineer and finalized before we just went with this. But we do highly recommend any HVAC changes you're doing, you do with this phase of before phase three, the interior renovations take place.
It would need to be done.
Now,
explain how, what affect things through.
Well, yeah, I mean, you do have a lot of finishes in phase three, is, flooring, new painting, everything on the wall, so obviously there's warranties and stuff like that. We've experienced flooring, for example, or carpentry and millwork, wood related things. When you get into an unconditioned space and high humidity levels with adhesives this day and time, we've seen floors delaminate, we've seen laminate on millwork delaminate, wood to wood, obviously. So from a warranty standpoint, it's gonna help you and benefit you long term to go ahead and address the HVAC while we're in there. And like Travis said, I mean, again, from the third floor renovation, you are getting a lot of new ceilings, all that type stuff. So ceilings, for example, would be great. If you got high humidity, that stuff would blow and warp. But regardless, if we went in and put all that stuff in now, and then you decided to come back in later on and do the HVAC, you're basically taking all those ceilings back down just to put ductwork. So it's counterproductive.
And that was something that we identified. I think we had a candid conversation with everybody here, how, from a phasing standpoint, we do the mini split, where the system out there is not working. We do realize, and based off of the preliminary assessment and the talking with Daniels, some of the infrastructure and the ductwork that's already inside the courthouse is going to be part of our solution. And that's why we're talking about that team effort, because we do not want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. We just want to go back in there and fix the problems and get it back to where it needs to be. I think Alex and I and Patrick and Travis were talking maybe some rooftop units, really getting this thing, on the low roof, getting that taken care of and really getting in that controlled space where we need to be from a central area.
I've already gotten a mechanical engineer involved. Haven't paid him yet, but he has spoken to Matt Daniels and just looked over his. He's looked over his proposal and thought it seemed like a very reasonable approach to doing the building.
All right, so that's phase two. Phase three is the interior renovations of the third floor themselves. Once again, the first line item is approximately 10% contingency, just for unforeseen conditions. Again, once again, we would use that only with your permission. And then any savings at the end of the job would be given back to you. We do have a couple of other allowances we've got here. Drywall patch and repair of $20,000, and then miscellaneous trim of $5,000. There is some light demolition that goes into this phase, mainly in the restrooms. That's that, and then we've got some in-wall blocking that we've got to put in the wall because the plumbing scope of work calls for new carriers, for new water closets, and for also laboratories. So we'll have to put some new in-wall blocking in to carry that.
Okay.
You've got basically new acoustic ceiling tiles, almost on the entirety of the third floor. You've got new carpet going in, and ceramic tile, wall and ceiling, and wall and floor tile, and in the bathrooms. Got new painting throughout, bathroom accessories, new interior signage that's ADA compatible, new upholstery for the jury box and also the 5 chairs off to the right of the judge's bench. And then, like I said, new plumbing fixtures and electrical lighting, which includes some recessed cans, some new LEDs, and a new chandelier in the center of the courtroom.
So, like Chris was saying, from a quality standpoint, it's not over the top elaborate, but we've got very nice finishes up there between the woodwork, between the ACT seals are a reveal edge tile. It's not just your basic run of the mill flush tile. Flooring products is primarily carpet and ceramic tile, like Travis said, in the bathrooms. So nothing too crazy. We do have we don't have too many new doors, do we, Travis? Yeah. So at the end of the day, the goal is you do have some plaster up there. A lot of new stuff this day and time is obviously drywall. We'll have to do some patching of that plaster work. At the end of the day, our goal is once we're out of there, is to leave a space that's you look up there, you're proud of, and plaster is going to look like plaster, sheetrock's going to look like sheetrock. So that will be our goal when we walk out of there. You got a completely updated space that possibly even looks like it's been there for some time.
And one thing that we're doing, inside the attic space, removing the lights as well as some of the penetration that are going into the roof. We're trying to eliminate some of those areas that we know that the board's coming in. So this gives us an opportunity to do that.
I had samples of the carpet and tile and upholstery out in Cara, if you were interested in seeing it.
Let me ask, I guess this is a fair question. Obviously, you know how concerned we're all up here about when this is done, we're done.
Sure.
All right. With so many engineers involved, and they're recommending this and drawing this and designing that, and everybody, and this is a great team put together and so forth. My question is, let's say it's all said and done. And everybody's just ooh and ah in the courthouse, the fresh paint smell, everything's great. We're just loving it. They're glad that this board finally got some things done. They're all excited. And then we have a rainy season, and for some reason, they're complaining about they're getting mold somewhere. But the roof ain't leaking, but mold's coming somewhere. With all the engineers and all y'all involved, are we going to be just told that, well, we don't know what the problem is, or that going to come back to y'all and figure out? I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say. I trust y'all, and I think it's going to be a great project, and I look forward to watching it all come together. But I'm just worried about we spend these tax dollars, get everything done, and then all of a sudden one that employees down there coughing or saying something, we call company and do a test, and now we're having to reach out and go, we got some kind of mold again, and the roof's not leaking. So where's the problem? With all the engineers, with everything that we did, how can it be doing that? And who's that going to fall back on?
Well, a lot from the mechanical engineering standpoint, obviously we're in the South. We deal with humidity nonstop. In the summer and early fall standpoint, it's a lot different than it is in the late fall all the way through spring. So when they are, I guess one double-edged sword as far as HVAC systems are concerned is, they require fresh air. Well, in the summer, we're bringing in high humidity air, so it's got to be treated. So the engineer has to run those calculations to confirm that, hey, how much fresh air we're bringing in, how are we able to treat that much fresh air, and then it goes back to the volume of the space for treating. So The systems themselves have to be designed in a way to not present a problem. But when you start dealing with a space where you don't have much conditioned air, but you are dealing with moisture, whether it's from a roof leak or something else, and those two are a bad combination. So we got to take that out of the equation.
And I think one thing we need to point out on the HVAC side, those numbers are strictly for the third floor, right? So speaking to your point, that's two more floors that, we haven't considered, which we don't see that we're having a whole lot of problems with, because, we're thinking that once you dry that building in, you get the right HVAC system, get the humidity out. From a design standpoint, from a practicality standpoint, that should solve your problem. But we do know there's other areas in the building that we're not touching. That could be,
That's true.
other issues, so, but we're gonna be, y'all know me, I wanna be your engineer forever. Patrick and them, they're here to stay, Alex and I've been working together for 26 years, so, we're gonna make it work. Does it come with an additional scope item? It may, but, we do feel like that we've taken the primary issues that we've been presented with, we've all looked at it, and we feel like this solves the problem and gets you that dry roof that we so desperately need.
But I think to answer your question, that's why in this world, in the commercial world, we don't, it's so much different than the residential world where a guy comes in and says, oh, we're gonna put a 2-ton unit and you got an outdoor condensing unit, you got an indoor unit, and it's all gonna work in a house, and it typically does. In the commercial world, you got so many factors, doors open and people coming in and out. That's why you put this on the hands of an engineer and let them design it instead of
Right.
We've given you a budget number for HVAC, and that's why you heard me say earlier there will be an engineer involved, because it doesn't need to be him designing the system. There's too much.
And as I said, we've got that person on the team, he's the one that did the assessment with us originally. So we're gonna give you the test and balance, the entire schematic that needs to be right sized and working for that space that we're trying to condition. That's it, correct?
I think so. Yeah, I've been struggling to answer their question because I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah.
If we miss something.
Well, a project like this could not be completed without engineers, and that's why my question,
Yes, sir.
I didn't mean it in any
Yeah.
disrespectful way. I'm just saying, with all these engineers involved and all this done, if we have a problem, I'm hoping somebody's coming back real quick going,
Yeah.
we're getting engineer so-and-so back over here.
100%.
We're gonna see, we're not just, we put a bid in for 700,000 and come look at,
Because this is commercial, a municipal building, we have to introduce fresh air that you wouldn't do in town. And we can't put fresh air in Georgia and without pre-treating it. So it's gonna take a special piece of equipment to take all the moisture out of it and cool it down before we introduce it into there. The professional engineers, my mechanical guy, understands that. So you won't have a problem with the new system that we put in. That is pretty well guaranteed. If we miss something along the way in a closet and some other space up there, we're all human. We miss a lot of stuff. I've always been working 40 something years. We miss stuff. It's not intentional, it's just an oversight. They may miss something. We'll catch it more than likely during this renovation. If there was something wet back in the closet off of the DA's office up there, they'll find it. It'll be replaced. If it wasn't in the original scope, it'll go into the contingency. And that will alleviate that source of the water problem that's causing the mold. I'm trying to anticipate what you were.
Oh, I understand, sir.
So,
And Commissioner King, I think one of the benefits that we're gonna have is, right now, we're looking at what we can see with our eyes.
Right.
Once we start doing the selective demos, we may find some red herrings that we don't know today. And we've got the team that they're not gonna walk away and say, oh, that's not in the scope of work, we're not gonna do that. You get someone else to do it. These guys are gonna come to us with a solution with the team already built around that's gonna solve that problem and give us, anything that we need, because they know that work there is predicated on their entire warranty of the entire building, so they're not gonna oh, we're gonna just put some keels on it and walk away and maybe they won't see it for 2 years, but they're incentivized. And one thing that we probably didn't talk about during construction, they have their own site supervision that's gonna be managing the day-to-day operations. They're gonna have their subcontractors, gonna have their lead foreman and people out there. We're gonna have our inspection team that's out here doing periodic job inspection. The architect is gonna have his team out here, and then key, consultant trades, the MEP, as we get into the plumbing and electrical, they're gonna have their engineers out here doing the inspection. So, even though we're all buddies and we're gonna work to the greater good of Marion County, you got a lot of people protecting the citizens' interests as well. So at the end of the day, it's not gonna be like, oh, we didn't see it, we didn't find it, so it's your problem. We're all gonna hold the team accountable, and it just breeds to a good relationship, because it gives us transparency, and we all want to deliver to y'all that there are people watching, and not that they wouldn't do right without somebody watching, but it gives you and the citizens of Marion County that level of confidence that, we're enforcing the plans and specs.
Sounds good.
It's not just thunder.
I know the other part is just the scaffolding, diagrams of what it will look like scaffold. I will say we will start at the cupola and work our way down, and then work into the building. We think that once we get the roof dry in, we'll still be working outside, but then we can start the interior renovations. And do all of it in 6 months. But like Patrick said, these are 3 individual projects right now that hopefully we can combine and get some savings with general conditions and overlap.
There's probably some savings in some of the finishes that we've selected. I don't want to talk about those right now till you get to a point where you want to talk about finishes. We didn't pick the cheapest or the most basic anything. They are, like Patrick said, it's not all from Italy, but it's a good, great commercial product.
It's not Home Depot. And Chairman Worsley, he made that very well known to us when we were in the, I guess, the post-election process. He wanted, didn't want to go overboard, but felt like the citizens of Fairfield County deserved it to be something to be proud of. And I can assure you, and EMC will stand behind that. These people at that podium, as well as the citizens of Fairfield County, will be well pleased with the end result when we get there. We just got to figure out what path we want to take from here.
Anybody got anything else?
The only thing I got Chris on it, or Alex now, on the HVAC system, y'all going with the ductless or we going straight back to the old duct that's existing in there now?
Well, I think he did plan on using some of that old duct.
Okay.
But it was kind of a hybrid type system that, again, that's why we looked at the HVAC as an allowance right now and to get the engineers involved, because when he started talking, obviously you walk up there now and many splits on the wall, and I'm like, no, that's just not a good fit for this type space. So
That's the reason I asked, because the ducts, mini ducts, if you're gonna do a nice looking third floor, I don't like the ducts personally.
yeah, I don't disagree with you.
The board may choose different, had different opinion, but me
You
personally,
talking about the mini split?
yeah, all on the
Yeah,
third floor.
They ought to do away with that.
Right now, all those are gone. We're exploring, even my engineer looked at it and he didn't think, from what he could see, there was a problem using the old ductwork, which is what they're using, or supposed to be using for fresh air to those spaces. He thought we could modify it in a way to reuse that ductwork that's in place in the walls and in the ceilings, after taking them out, putting them possibly, to supply air to that room.
Well, when I went to the roof that time, going from the third floor ceiling to the roof, I could see the ductwork that was put in when the courthouse was burned in 80.7. It looked brand new.
Yeah.
So he may possibly can use some of that old existing.
That's what we're expecting,
The chase,
that's what we're expecting. We'll look into it further, ND Mechanical has been up there and looked at it, so it was in good shape.
Cause it was all, you know, galvanized ductwork. Now the new houses built, they use flexible duct.
Flexible, yeah, that's right.
This was all hard pipe.
You'll have to work pipe, there'll be very few places where we would use.
Well, everything he is talking about kind of a hybrid system, ceiling mounted units, so he's talking about, so they do make mini split style units that aren't wall mounted like that, they're ceiling cassettes. And they've also got the ducted mini splits as well, so you can do a complete hybrid system, but again, with it being the space that it is and the nature of the space it is, we've got to introduce outside air, fresh air to make the systems up.
And the mini split would look basically like that stand, that's in the city.
Right.
Yeah, and you said that, in a commercial building, you had to introduce fresh air and you got to clean it.
Yeah.
Well, I think when they put the mini splits in, they were using the old system for fresh air.
Right.
They probably weren't cleaning.
They weren't.
That may be where some of the problems came from.
That's right. When trying to move in.
You gotta take all the moisture out of it and
Yeah.
cool it down some.
They were just blowing moisture into the building.
That's what it appears to look like, Commissioner.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you've been up there over the summer, it's an attic. It's like walking in your home attic.
Yeah.
For instance.
So on the pricing, just to clarify, the way that it is presented us now is 3 separate phases. So each of those phases have their own general conditions and things like that. Obviously, you know, if the board chooses whatever direction y'all want to go in, to incorporate some of these phases. At the same time, all of those, you know, you don't get paid, charged twice for general conditions, you don't get paid, charged twice for the superintendent, all that will be kind of compressed into a different price. So that's really what we're trying to work together as a team, you know, take that direction from the board. How would y'all want to present the final pricing and what do y'all want in and what out? And then that will get us to where we feel like, at least for phase 1, we can get to that GMP and then talk about how we want to add in the other phases.
So the profit, 5.75% profit, that's what, River City?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
What's the overhead?
So the overhead is the project management, supervision, the insurances, well, obviously with this one, we won't have permits, but typically it will be permits, that's dumpsters, toilets. That's everything else associated with the job day to day.
They've also got an additional insurance up here.
So that's bonds, you got bonding rates, payment performance bonds, trying to think what all, you got obviously workers' comp, general liability, builder's risk. There's just, unfortunately in our world, we're insurance to death.
And one thing to point out, when we went through the CMAR interview and the qualification process, those numbers were part of the package they submitted to us, the sealed envelope. That was something that was not negotiated with, but they submitted it like the other 3 that we interviewed, and not telling fact that they were low in all of those categories as well. So not only do we feel like we've got the best qualified, we did get the best value compared to the other folks that was here to interview. Their percent profits were more in the general condition, but significantly more in some cases.
So you're getting the best damn response.
And prior to the factor that those prices were one of the criteria that we used to score out the people that we interviewed. It was not the only one, and it did carry the most weight, but it was something that we did consider.
I don't have anything else.
And I guess what do we do? Just get,
We'll have to bring it back because it's just a work session.
I'm just looking at this from a,
Questions in the meantime, obviously, y'all can reach out to us anytime, y'all can reach out to them, we'll be glad to answer anything you got.
When they bringing the scaffolding up?
As soon as you cut us loose.
2 weeks after we say go.
Yeah.
There
you go.
I don't say a lot, but I was just.
And the reality, I think Travis mentioned earlier, we're gonna hit the rainy season first of the year.
So,
Yeah.
Which is.
Yeah, we need to get started on it.
Not only that,
We got a meeting next week, so.
Re-roof, so.
So if y'all wanna get with John to kind of say, hey, give me a price for this, we'll get together that, and that can be your agenda item, to kind of get that, yeah, and we can always, start with phase one and then work our way back to the other two. We just need that guidance on how you want to proceed with getting to that.
I'm gonna need that by Thursday.
Okay.
And like with the HVAC stuff, you said you talked with MD. Are you getting other prices for that too, or just him because he was more local, or we're gonna reach out to other just to do price comparisons?
we'll be glad to do whatever you guys want. That is who we talked to up front. Again, not having any kind of engineered drawings, we went to somebody that was familiar with the building. He had explored it before, so he worked up that number. But once an engineer's involved and he completes his drawings, we can put it out to however y'all want to.
And then he can bid on it again.
That's right. He's other qualified, and we'll reach out to that.
And I wasn't discounting his work or anything. I just want to make sure we're getting more than one bid on one price.
And that's one thing that you'll see as we get into the other phase, and I think Travis said that, with phase one being very much critical to the end result, qualifications really precluded several folks that might have thought they were qualified to do that. And I know him and I, we talked about that, just because Johnny's done drywall, he might not be the best person for this job. So they interviewed the person that, and you saw with the references in the package, that we getting the number one, the best value, but the best qualified, because it is very niche type work. A home builder in, LaGrange can't come and have and do this type of trim work we're trying to get to. But there's going to be other phases where you're going to see more coverage, the paint, you may, and that's the beauty of this process. They're going to give you, hey, look, we got price from A, B, C, D, and they're going to show that to us. And y'all have a say so on who you want to pick. Sometimes you may not pick the lowest vendor, but it might be more beneficial for the entire project. And that's where we can get into all these other phases, when what we call before we buy out the job, if you will.
I just hope we don't get into where, we're putting it out, we're waiting on bids, and come March, we're still waiting for everything to come in. I mean, it's
Not at all.
it's a time run.
At this point,
Seems like phase one is pretty much set.
right.
Okay.
I think right now we're dealing with
Phase one and phase two.
qualified contractors on phase one. We're dealing with our contractors that are ready to go. I mean, they're available, they're ready to go, and I know that's important to you guys right now. So
We can hang Christmas lights.
Only thing we wait.
Yeah.
Only thing we get questioned in is phase three.
Well, and I think,
Phase one and two are pretty much set, like he said.
and what we would need is for permission to move
Fall.
forward on the engineering side. I mean, we talked about it on the phone. We want to hit the engineering, and Alex and I, we've already put pressure on our sub-consultant. We want you working with anticipation that it's goodwill for the team, that, we feel like it was gonna come, and John and I talked a lot about that. It's gonna come at some point, but I won't say he's ready to present drawings tomorrow, but he's familiar enough that with the authorization, we can turn them loose and turn plans very quick like. And with this team already involved, I think we can get to that phase two pricing real quick like. And then, like you said, Mr. Collins, phase three would be that.
Yeah.
And we have time. That's the beauty of that, because in a vacuum, how long would y'all think phase three would take?
I think phase two and phase three, the HVAC replacement and the renovation of the third floor, I mean, combined 3.5 months.
So you're tucking that in with the exterior. That will be our
But if
recommendation.
you start on phase one and you get 2 or 3 months into phase one, then you could probably start on 2 and 3, right?
And that's where the same.
But like I say, I wouldn't do anything on 2 and 3 until I got it sealed.
Absolutely.
That's exactly right.
But I would be crazy to start doing phase two. Well, 3 don't matter because that's just air conditioning, but phase two, I wouldn't do none of that till I got the roof sealed.
Correct.
And that's where that umbrella of savings with fuel conditions while they're out there.
If you decide
All right.
to move and do air conditioning and finishes next year, their general conditions, those overhead prices would be in addition to those prices, so that correct?
But we can overlap those two as well. I mean, if you decide to do phase one and then phase two and three later, again, right now, the way we've got it broken down is three separate projects.
Yeah.
Obviously, to benefit the county and save money is to overlap as many of them as we can, but if for some reason you say, right now, we wanna do phase one, we're gonna figure out a way to do phase two and three, but at a later date, then we can overlap those general conditions too. So, and again, we'll be glad to help with the process and update estimates to kind of reflect whatever you guys will see. So just let us know.
2 and 3 seem like the most overlappable thing.
Yeah,
100%.
One, you have to get it right in, and then you start 2 and 3.
that's right.
Yeah. And still, we feel like it can be tucked in with the duration of phase one.
Alright.
Thank y'all.
Turn loose.
Thank y'all.
Appreciate it.
Thank y'all.
Thank you. I'll be done.
Small.
right.
Hard enough to put in the pocket, but I have sample clips next time.
All right.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Anything else come before the board?
We have a new.
Executive session for personnel.
Need executive session for personnel?
Yes.
You don't need council list.
Not on this one, I don't think.
Motion to go into executive session for personnel.
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
All right, we need a motion to go back into regular session.
So
Second.
All in favor? No action was taken in executive session. Need a motion to adjourn.
So second.
All in favor?
We adjourn.